G'day guys, we're here with Matt Walsh from Veep, which is currently airing its third season on HBO. And last year when we talked to Matt, we talked about your game philosophy that you helped develop for the UCB, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, where everything's all heading towards something, you've got to stay on with the game. And I guess the game of this chat right now is to help Veep continue its great run at the Emmys, to help campaign for the Emmys for Veep. Because last year you guys did great. Julia won again. Tony was able to break through. Anna got nominated. What was that whole Emmy experience like last year for you guys?
Oh, it was really fun. It was the show's been really well received, and the Emmy event was really cool because of Julia and Tony. But like you said, Tony breaking through. Tony was really surprised, and it was really awesome to be there with him. And obviously Julia, I think it was her second for the show. Yeah. So it was great. It was crazy fun. It was just really fun, and it's always nice to have people you respect or showbiz types who you have watched your whole life come up to you and say, "I really like your show."
Mm. Yeah, no, definitely. And you guys did really well with the guilds also this year. You got shared a nomination with the Screen Actors Guild this year, which was really cool. And also, your show won a WGA, an Art Directors Guild. You got nominated at the Producers Guild. So it really seems like the industry is not just embracing Veep, but embracing Veep a bit more than it has in previous years.
Yeah, I think the third season has sort of penetrated a little deeper over here. I think more people watch it, or maybe more critics are on board. So yeah, and it feels like there's some momentum to the show. Yeah, I get recognized a little more in airports, anecdotal things like that.
Yeah, and with the Screen Actors Guild win that Julia got. You got in on the act, and you got up there and helped her with her speech. Who came up with that idea, and how did that sort of all come together?
That was Julia's bit, and she called me pretty much the morning of the Screen Actors Guild and was like, well, if I win, I don't know, but I want to have a bit ready. And she pitched like having elements of her speech that were wrong, and so we kind of went back and forth on the phone, and then she said, what if you had, a sandwich on your pocket? And then there was the fine-tuning of the sandwich. I suggested peanut butter and jelly on white bread, and she suggested putting it on the inside pocket of the suit, not the outside pocket, because it's funnier. So it was a really... Meanwhile, I'm getting dressed and taking a shower, and she's obviously getting makeup done. So it was very hectic, but it turned out well.
What's it like doing a comedy bit where you don't know whether you're going to actually have to perform it or not?
Super hectic. Because we literally sat down at the table, and that's the first time I saw her, and we hadn't gone over anything. We just sort of talked about it on the phone. So, like, we had like a minute, because she was there with her husband, and, it's very social, and you're talking to people, and she's like, all right, here we go. If this happens, I'll go up, you stand here. I told the guy who's the director, if I win, keep a shot wide enough to see Mike hanging in the wings, stand there, don't let people see you come up. It was like a real quick, like, I'm like, okay, got it, okay. And then, 5 minutes later, we're both on stage.
Yeah. How bummed would you have been if she'd lost? And you go, oh, we've got the sandwich here, we've got it all set, ready to go, and...
It would have been funny, yeah. And I actually gave I had two sandwiches, because you always have two props in case one fails. And I gave one of the sandwiches to Anna's husband, because he was still hungry after dinner. So it came in use. But yeah, Julia was just like, "Did you bring the sandwich?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got two, just in case."
She's the master, because she got Tony up when she won the Emmy last year to whisper his ear and things. Like, she's just great for, and you guys, all of the Veep crew, are great for awards moments.
Yeah, she seems to like to give a little comedy gift to the crowd as opposed to doing a thanking your agent type speech.
Which, as an award viewer, we really appreciate.
I think so too. Yeah, I appreciate that too when people try to give a little entertainment with their award. I think that's kind of cool.
Hmm. Now, Season 3 of Veep has seen a real shifting gears from the office of a vice president to running a campaign. Like, has that been really exciting for you, that change, and sort of given you more opportunities, yourself and sort of the whole crew?
Yeah, I think her running for presidency ups the stakes of the whole season, and there's also more bodies running around. There's consultants now. There's obviously Kevin Dunn and Gary are part of our team now, and we're out on the road more. We're running around the country, so I think everybody's under a lot more pressure to succeed because we're this much closer to getting the brass ring, if you will. And so, yeah, it's great as an actor to have stakes that are higher and tension. I think it helps the comedy. Yeah, I think it's been really fun.
Sort of interesting watching the debate episode and sort of seeing people who used to be adversaries with the team now working with them, and other people who have always been adversaries going against them and things. It's sort of like interesting to show the way people's allegiances mix up when you get a presidential campaign going.
Yeah, I love seeing characters like Danny Chung and Doyle and Furlong, guys we've seen throughout Season 2 and 3, and then they come back to roost. Like you said, obviously Chung's not on our side, but Furlong and Doyle have sort of folded into our camp, and they've been sort of bastards to us at times. So it is funny, like, to see the allegiances that she's forming, and they're also going to change, obviously, because it's politics. But I think it's very rewarding as a viewer when you get pieces of a character or a storyline, and then they come back, and it feels there's more weight to it because, like, you've gotten to know these people. Now there's more value to their presence because there's so much on the line.
Do you think, like, do you think this show, like, and I don't know what you know and what Armando's told you guys, but do you think this show could transition into a series about the president?
Could our show Veep transition into a show about the actual president?
Yeah.
Well, that's a great question for Armando. Sure, I guess it's possible because I think what I like about British comedies is they have no problem recontextualizing a premise, and the next season, like Alan Partridge, Armando worked on that, and every year that character was reinventing himself, falling further down the ladder, of course, but I like the ambition of that in a comedy, so sure, it's possible. I mean, I guess it's unlikely, but it's definitely possible.
Yeah, like, because the Knowing Me, Knowing You turned into I'm Alan Partridge, which is, and you also had the Yes Minister series become Yes Prime Minister in England too. So yeah, you have those switching of sort of even changing the title of the show to suit the new direction in the story. So
yeah, and I don't think certainly American sitcoms don't do that as ambitiously. Once they've captured that comic engine, they just like to, because it takes a long time to get it, they like to use it every season. They like to keep it, pretty much the same.
Yeah. Now, talking a bit about Season 3, I guess, and your character, Mike, in particular in the show, it seems that last year was a really dark year for Mike. He, was in a lot of debt and a lot of stuff was going wrong. This year, I guess, is sort of happier year for Mike. He's gotten married. He's trying to have kids. Like, how have you enjoyed this year's sort of stuff with the personal relationship and things?
I like it. I think it is nice to see Mike happy and to have a home life, and I think he enjoys having 2 stepsons around, and I think Wendy's financial stability is a joy for Mike as well. And I think they're a good pair. The challenge will be, it's a terrible job to be in the middle of that maelstrom every day, the presidency run or the vice presidency, all her duties. So we'll see how it tempers or how it weathers the storm. But I do like having moments of joy for Mike, and I do like seeing Mike's personal life because the first season we just knew he had an imaginary dog, and the second season we just knew he had a boat that he couldn't get rid of. But now you're starting to see the relationships in Mike's life, which I think is really fun.
It was a very different wedding to the wedding you usually see on TV. It seemed like the main focus was not really the wedding as much as just everyone trying to get to their Blackberries and iPhones as quickly as possible.
Yeah, that's why we had to put him in the fishbowl. People really liked the concept of the fishbowl. Here's my two biggest fans, by the way.
Oh, there we go. What are their names?
That's Roger and Sarah.
Roger and Sarah. And which one's the darker of the two?
Sarah is they're both boys, even though Sarah's called Sarah.
Yeah. So your dogs are real. Matt's dogs are real. Mike's dog is not.
They're real.
Okay, very good. So also a great episode for Mike this season was the episode Alicia, where you call a supporter a stupid cow, she punches you, and then you need to go and beg to Jonah for forgiveness. Or not for forgiveness, sorry, to not leak the story, to not publish the story. What was that scene, especially the Cuba Peas scene? Did you come up with that song? Who picked that song for that scene? It was so left field a choice.
That was a song that I had learned in grade school here in the States for some reason. It's an old Civil War song. And Armando and Ian Martin, I believe one of the writers, were sort of talking about what other songs he could beg for. We tried some in rehearsal, and then on the day of filming, we revisited it, and I suggested that song. And because it's public domain, it's free, so that was also helpful to use. And they just made sure it was cleared and everything. So they particularly loved that Armando and Ian were hiding behind the monitor giggling because they didn't really know the song, and it's such a ridiculous old song to be singing. So they really enjoyed it. And yeah, that was something we pulled out on the day, and it came from my... I don't know why we learned that in grade school. I guess we were studying the Civil War, but it stuck in my brain.
Yeah, Cuba Peas, cheaper than Happy Birthday to see on TV.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love it. Do you reckon that was your big episode of the season?
I think that was a great Mike episode. Sure, I think that was I don't know. Yeah, it was a lot of the plot turned on that relationship with the gals who were being recruited by Selina to stand on stage with her, and he had to deliver the bad news, and he was at the center of the storm during that episode. Yeah.
I noticed this season sort of with Mike, and it's something that's been, I think, every season, but, you know, especially with the Amy and Dan just, after each other to get this sort of campaign manager position, just how sort of he's almost defined amongst the rest of this crazy sort of cast as, having a lack of ambition. Sort of a couple of weeks ago, sort of he became the guy in charge and he almost didn't know what to do. What's it like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong on this, but what's it like being sort of the least ambitious person in the room almost, amongst all these people just trying to get the most powerful sort of position they can?
Well, I think even Armando and Simon, one of the writers, they perceive Mike as sort of like the cockroach that survives the nuclear holocaust. In that Mike has a lot of experience, and he's seen the waves go up and down and the highs and lows, and I think he weathers the storm as well as anyone. And I don't think part of it's beaten down, but part of it is wisdom. I don't think he cares to invest too much in these temporary victories. So he is he does not have a lot of ambition. I think he is very loyal to Selina, and I think he cares for her issues, and they're in sync on that, and they have a lot of history. But I don't think he needs to be in the spotlight. He would never be a politician, and I don't think he needs to be the skipper, to use a sailing term.
Yeah, he's sort of very much like, oh well, I'm here today, I'll be there tomorrow, like, you know,
Yeah.
stuff's gonna happen, like,
We
along the
shall.
way.
Yeah, the old Chinese proverb, "We shall see." It all changes. Like the victories will fade, and the defeats you'll come out of those as well.
Mm. What do you and do you think that just like is sort of like is thinking back to like the sort of whole idea of like game philosophy and all working towards a sort of like, you know, what motivates someone or what's motivating them in a scene, like is sort of what motivates Mike this just sort of like the status quo, like sort of just maintaining status quo almost, or like
Yeah, I don't think Mike is a visionary. I don't think he has a new deal up his sleeve or a master plan for changing the political landscape. That is not. I guess he is a simple man, and I guess he probably appreciates the status quo and path of least resistance. Yeah, I think those are unfortunately strong traits in Mike. Yeah.
Mm. And I think like what Amando does, he gets all these characters with very different sort of ways of looking at sort of the office or the campaign, and just puts them all together and sees how they bounce off each other.
Yeah, I think they've created these characters that they can write all these different jokes for, or different games or different insults can come out of all this wide range of character that they've nurtured throughout these 3 seasons, and I think that's pretty neat. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes next. I guess I don't know.
Who's your favorite other character in the show? Just bounce off of.
Well, there are certain things I'll speak to. Like, I always enjoy Selina being cruel to her daughter. I just think that's such a dysfunctional, awful mother-daughter relationship, which I haven't seen in a while, and I always love those scenes. I always love the limousine scenes. For some reason, I always end up laughing a lot in the limousine scenes because they're such close quarters. I think Jonah's a great character because he's sort of like Mike. He's constantly getting the short end of the stick and beaten on. But what's been great about Jonah this year is his ability to, reshape himself. He jumps from job to job to job, and somehow he reinvents himself, and he's still around, So he's pretty resilient too, like Mike. What are some of the other characters? I liked the character of Joe Thornhill, the baseball coach that we're getting to know as a candidate, because it's almost believable that a guy that simple could succeed in a presidential election. It's really pushing the boundaries, but it's really funny to me that they've made him believable. And I love, I think Kevin Dunn's character, Ben, is really funny. Kevin's a funny actor because I think, in a way, Ben is what Mike would aspire to. Do you know what I mean? Like, Ben is Mike 10 years down the road. And then I love the relationship between Stu and Kent this year. Their weird non-sexual romance. I love the tension, the romantic tension between them. That's really funny to me.
Yeah. With I guess some of the other stuff you've sort of done in the past year. You did a guest spot on Brooklyn Nine-Nine. That show really at the Globes blew up in a big way. What was it like just popping into that show and having a bit of a play around with them on a show that probably when you signed up for it, people, it was a new show. It was not really on the map heaps.
It was funny. The day I did the Brooklyn 999 guest spot was the day after they won that Golden Globe. So it was like walking onto the happiest set in the world. It was really funny. It's like everyone was like, they were so surprised and happy, and it was a great set to be on the day after winning a big award.
Oh, it's funny.
Yeah, it is funny.
Yeah, and you've also directed. I think is this your second directorial thing? A Better You?
Yeah, I'm finishing an improv comedy about a hypnotherapist who is losing his wife and his family, and he thinks he's a guru. He's drinking his Kool-Aid a bit too much, so he's got to figure out what's real and what's not. So I'm finishing that right now.
Are there many films that are improv comedies? Like,
Are there many?
Like, yeah, is it like a well tapped into, like, is it well tapped into that sort of like area?
I think it's probably a niche genre. Like, obviously, Christopher Guest would be the most well-known director, but Mike Lee does a lot of them. They tend to, from my understanding of his process, he does a lot of the improv in rehearsal, and it's less so, much like our show. We don't really improvise when we're filming. So Mike Lee would be another one. There was a guy, Zach Penn, who has made a couple improvised comedies, and certainly like the mockumentary genre was very prevalent, 5-10 years ago. So, but it is a smaller genre, I guess.
It just seems to me like it's becoming more and more, like maybe in a post-Curb world, like it's becoming a lot more of a go-to, like tapping into people who are great improv, and like just even looking at the TV landscape at the moment, and you got like I spoke the other week with Ben Schwartz, who's like in House of Cards, and the Broad City Girls the other week, and like just a lot of people seem to be getting into TV from the sort of, well, from the UCB like background, like a lot of them, but I'm sure there's other improv places that people are coming from as well. It just seems like there's more and more people getting into TV and film from that sort of background.
Yeah, like a lot of the guys in Silicon Valley are great improvisers. Zach Woods, Middleditch, T.J. Miller, Kumail's more of a stand-up. But so yeah, a lot of people are being discovered through the improv comedy world. In terms of the process of using it, I think still good writers tend to dominate good shows. You're not just going to turn over an entire concept to an improvised format, but it is true a lot of great talent has come through the UCB recently and other improv institutions, and I don't know why that is. I guess I don't know. It's a good observation, though. I don't know why that is.
We have a question in the chat room from Burkett. While Veep definitely has some of the best jokes on TV, so much of the humor is in the subtle deadpan glance or eye roll. Is that written into the script? Do you guys have glance meetings to talk about them, or are you all just that talented? A definite possibility. So, yeah, how are the glances developed?
The glance meetings are tedious. We have so many glance meetings, and HBO makes us sign a waiver not to reveal any of our secret glances for 10 years. No, what's great about Veep, to answer the question seriously, is that it is like a stage play. Like, the room is fully lit, so we have we don't use marks. You can go wherever you need to be, and the cameramen are the ones providing those moments. So you're basically, every scene you're in, you're always behaving as if you're on camera because you don't know. It's not like I'll say my line and then camera will get that guy. They tend to move around a lot, and they sit in on our rehearsals, and so they know where the comic moments are and where the pauses are, so they'll anticipate where the focus should be. And so a lot of that credit goes to the cameramen who sit through the rehearsals before we start filming every scene, and we all know as a cast that it's sort of like a play in that we're always going to be possibly on camera, so we're constantly just trying to stay engaged or behave as if it's a living, breathing moment.
And who would you say gives the best glance on the show?
Ooh, best question I've gotten today. Best glance. I think Sue has a pretty icy glance. I think Sue's eyes are very cold and piercing. I think she gives a good glance.
Yeah. Interesting.
Would you agree? Who do you think gives the best glance?
Sue did jump to mind.
Great.
Like, Sue was the first thing that popped into my head. But I wonder if, like, Dan and Amy give great glances at each other.
Yes.
When the other one winds the other one up.
Yes. That would be also a front runner. Their glances to each other. Yes.
Yeah. Very animated. So what? You're the communications director. You're the pretty much the press secretary for Selina Meyer, who's got to go out there and address the press and say why people should support Selina. You're Matt Walsh. How would you as Mike sell Veep and sell yourself to Emmy voters, to award voters? Like, what would your pitch be?
Guys, I have 3 children. I have 2 dogs. I really need this. I'll make you dinner. I'll barbecue you a nice, delicious dinner. I don't know. Why would I pitch? I don't know. It's a great show, and any one of us would be a great call to nominate, obviously. So it's a good question. What would I say? I don't know. I would just say that if you do me a favor, I'll remember it.
Yeah.
I'm like an elephant. I don't forget.
That's good. Vote for Veep and Matt Walsh, the elephants of award winners.
Yes.
We will not forget. I love that. It's good. And I feel like very politician-y. I feel like there are a lot of promises there about dinners and all sorts. I feel like that could get held up by the Veep Congress when you're trying to get that passed.
Yeah, I don't have any. I wish I had some secret perks I could offer people, but I don't know. Maybe a secret parking spot at the Hollywood Bowl. Maybe I can hook you up.
There we go. Some tickets to UCB.
Some free tickets to UCB. Yeah, that's my bribe.
Yeah. You're also, are you also in your first like action film coming out later this year?
Yes, there's a tornado movie called Into the Storm that's really pretty terrifying, and I play a storm chaser who is obsessed with capturing footage of the eye of the storm. So he has this vehicle that can dig into the earth and let the storm pass over him, and it's a big action movie, and it's pretty terrifying. I've seen it. It should be really good and entertaining. And it comes out in August, called Into the Storm, and there's a lot of great folks in it. Richard Armitage and Sarah from The Hobbits, and the lovely Sarah Wayne Callie, who is from Walking Dead, and Nathan Kress and Jeremy Sumpter and Max Deacon. A lot of great folks.
Yeah, I guess you could also say Mike is often going into the storm in Veep, but a different type of storm.
Yes, sir. Mike does ride out the storm. Yes, he does.
Yeah, and he keeps his cool.
He keeps his cool. He might not be ambitious. He might not have a plan for when the house is destroyed, but he probably will survive the storm.
Yeah, because Jolly had asked about Into the Storm in the chat room. I was wondering why you jumped from comedy to action.
Yes, they're the same genre, really. No, they're not.
Yeah. Now I'm talking tomorrow with hopefully your good friend Tony Hale.
Okay.
Do you have any good questions that we can shoot Tony's way?
Ask Tony why he likes gifting sweets.
Why he likes gifting sweets?
Yeah, those sweets where you get like a free toaster because you're nominated, or a free bottle of cologne.
Yeah. Okay. So he's gifting the sweets. Well, do you know why he likes doing it, or are you curious?
I'm sort of teasing him. I like teasing him. I actually like. Who doesn't like a free gift? But I like teasing him about that. So that's sort of a poke, an ongoing sort of thing I tease him about. A good question for Tony
I'm
Um,
definitely asking him that. I'm definitely asking the sweets thing.
ask him if he's ever worked with Pamela Anderson. Wasn't he on a Pamela Anderson show?
Maybe.
I think he was. Yeah, that's a good question.
Okay. Why is he like gifting sweets, and why and has he ever worked with Pamela Anderson?
Yes, gifting sweets. Suites. Those kind of gifting sweets.
Yes.
Okay.
S-U-I-T-S. Yes. Okay.
Not
Very good.
not giving away sweets. Not SWEETS.
Yeah. Not candies. He's
Yes.
not like just on a Halloween sort of like just Halloween every day for Tony. Just going out giving people sweets.
Yeah. Not why do you like giving away candy? Why do
Yeah.
you like receiving free swag?
Okay. I like it. So we'll find all that out for him tomorrow. Veep, it's got 2 more episodes this season. Next Sunday, a doubleheader, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Big episode. Yeah.
Now I don't want you to really spoil anything, but like, can you give us any idea on like sort of roughly like where is it ending? It's I'm assuming not ending with election day, or is it like?
What can I tell you?
What?
I don't know how far into the election it'll go.
Mm.
I don't think you'll know the results of the election. I don't think that's
No.
a spoiler.
Yeah, we won't have a new president at the end of the season.
Yeah, no.
Yeah.
Um,
It didn't seem like we were near that point.
no, because I think this season we're probably we're about 6 months out from the actual election would be my guess. That debate was the last. We're probably 6 or 8 months away from the actual election. So that the debate was the last episode. So no, but it's a good episode, and it makes sense to put the 2 last episodes together, which isn't a spoiler. And I think it'll be really rewarding for people who care about the show. Like, I think it's an interesting sort of couple episodes.
Yeah, I think the last episode is called New Hampshire, so it would to me seem like that's either the primary or not at the primary.
Yes.
So
yes, that's where it takes place. You're right.
Yeah. So there's still that's pre Super Tuesday, so you got still some campaign to go post season, assuming Selina stays in the race.
Yeah.
Yeah, so very, very exciting. Are we going to see as many debates on Veep as we saw in the presidential election? Are we going to be like another 15 debate episodes of Veep?
I mean, I thought the debate episode was really funny, just the way they walked around the podium, and they were all so awkward, and Senator Pierce with his terrible jokes. I would love to see more debate episodes, actually, but I don't know what's in store. But I think debates are pretty hilarious.
Yeah, it was pretty good, and I like that the first guy stood up and walked to the middle, and I feel like everyone else felt like they had to do it after him, but they may have not planned it as well.
Yeah, or when Isaiah Whitlock was blocking Selina and she was trying to peek over her shoulder for better camera time.
Yeah,
I love the dumb stuff like that. That makes me laugh.
Yeah, that's great. Well, thanks so much for talking with us today, Matt. It's always good to talk to people.
It is. It's nice to talk to you as well.
Well, thank you. And yeah, all the best with the Emmys, and all the best with Veep season 4, because you've been renewed. You're coming back for another season.
Yeah, we are. We're coming back. We go back in September to Baltimore for season 4.
Very nice. Very nice. Well, thanks very much for your time, Matt.
Okay.